Hey, how's everyone doing? Happy Sunday. It is December 8th. Actually, yeah, December 8th. And yeah, I wanted to do it's almost 2 months since I left my job. So I wanted to do kind of an update on, how the past 2 months have been, what the struggles have been, some of the successes, things that I was looking forward to that are a reality and things I wasn't expecting that, you know, really just showed me how hard entrepreneurship is and how focused you have to be. So before we dive into that, just want to give an update on what we're doing at Good Guy REI. We're wholesaling right now. We're mainly focusing on Maricopa County. We were focusing on a couple other states like Michigan and Connecticut, but we've recently narrowed our focus to Maricopa County. So we're finishing up a fix and flip out in Michigan, and we have a few other deals there. So yeah, every now and then we come across these opportunities in wholesaling where we could essentially double our profit if we take it down ourselves and fix and flip it. And we're not looking for like major rehabs, more of just like, 15 to 30,000 can finish in a month and then put up on the market and sell. So we're actually going through one of those right now, and we're looking for additional funding for when we come across these opportunities in the future. And we're tracking, our projections in terms of schedule, in terms of budget cost, and creating a whole deal sheet that we're going to do a separate YouTube video about. So we can, timestamp, okay, these were our thoughts going into it. And then when we sell the deal, we'll post and do a YouTube video on, what were the actual results. I mean, everyone not everyone, but if you're good at what you do, you're definitely going to have your projections be close to what the actual results are. But there are always curveballs. So it's kind of like a cliffhanger, and it holds us accountable to, hey, we timestamp this to say, we're confident in our numbers and we'll see what actually happens. But yeah, so just to kind of lead into what life's been like, it's honestly been a whirlwind. One of the things that I was really looking forward to when I left my W-2 was, the no pressure of setting my schedule. And, what I really found, and what I mean by that is at my sales job in accounting. So like in accounting, I would have never felt like it was okay for me to take my kid to school every day. Maybe like when I get really high up, but then it's just like, you have 5 different people all expecting you to be working 24/7. And it's just this constant pressure of you better be working. But at my sales job, I really, I think they would have been okay with it. But I just have this like people pleasing mentality. It's slowly going away, but, I definitely felt it at my other job. But being an entrepreneur now, I realized that a lot of that was in my head, and really, I just needed to do a better job of setting boundaries. So I don't know if you're like me and you're struggling as a people pleaser, just know that, a lot of it might be in your head. So you don't have to quit your W-2 to take your kid to school. I mean, maybe you have to, go work for someone else who's okay with you taking your kid to school. But I know my last job they were, and I just wasn't okay with it. But yeah, so that was a big one. Another thing that was surprising when I left my job was, you kind of think that like, I'm going to be able to work all day on the revenue producing activities. Like that's all I'm going to do. In my case, that's making calls, that's looking for deals, that's, running the numbers, that's calling the title company to make sure everything's good. But what I found in the beginning was there are so many facets to set up a business that you really have to split it up. And honestly, your revenue, like if you have a runway in money, then you want to set up your business right. Like obviously, like you want to make money in your business, but at the same time, you want to put the systems in place to where when you are having, heavy lead flow, then your systems are able to handle it. So in the beginning, like we were in the process of switching CRM, so doing a ton of research, talking to a lot of people, just wanted to make sure we made the right choice, and that took a lot of time. So that was definitely really frustrating for me because all I want to do is, do the revenue producing activities to start building our pipeline. Um, yeah, so that was definitely a big one for me. Another super positive thing is Pace. He introduced his framework for his calendar, and it's been life changing. Not that that really has anything to do, I guess, with being an entrepreneur in terms of like, whether I had a W-2 or I was an entrepreneur, it's game changing. Just, I think all of us know that being intentional with any part of our life is what ultimately is going to move the needle in whatever area of life you're trying to move it. But when you get busy with everything that you're doing, you just feel like you don't have time. But when you flip the script and you go, no, actually creating my calendar is probably the most important thing that I could do, it's completely life changing. Just unbelievable. Have been doing it for 3 weeks right now, and I'm absolutely loving it. It's not like every time I put something on the calendar, I'm following it exactly, but I'm moving forward. That's really what all this is are you making the steps in the right direction, and are you putting in the work? Because even in these 3 weeks, my calendar skill set has improved so much. And you know who's ultimately seen that? My family, because now they're on my schedule of when I'm hanging out with them. And when they're on my schedule, no one else is on my schedule. So I'm fully focused, running around with them, having a good time, avoiding TV, which has been great, just really living in the moment. And it's been huge for me. So that's something everyone can do that has really nothing to do with entrepreneurship. But if you want to be the most effective person and whatever's important to you, actually get that stuff done, then yeah, it all starts with your calendar. And, it's probably been like today, I probably spent like 2.5 hours on it, going through what are my non-negotiables. I mean, there's a whole 26-step process that at some point I plan on doing Zooms for. If anyone's interested, leave a comment. That you hear a lot is, just take action, just take action. And that's really important. I'm not saying you shouldn't take action, but at the same time, you have to have intention for what you're trying to do. You have to understand what you're trying to accomplish, and you have to know what is the key metric that you're trying to hit. And that's kind of been eye-opening for me because sometimes, I just want to take action to do the thing, do the thing, do the thing. But then, I've caught myself being like, is that the right thing? Is that the most effective way? So it's like you need to take action, but also make sure you're taking the time to, have that like high level view where you're getting out of the weeds and you're just really, making sure that you're doing the most with your time, because that's the thing that we can't get back is time. And if you're going to spend the time doing some revenue producing activities anyways, you might as well do the most effective one. So that was another really important lesson. I read The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People probably like 20 times. It took me like 10 times to realize that I really sucked at all the habits. The first 9 times I read it, I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Uh, but, one thing that stuck out to me, I mean, it's an unbelievable book, great handbook for, being your best self. But one thing that's really resonated is, there's ebbs and flows and there's seasons of life where things are just going to be lopsided. Um, for instance, the birth of my child, Oliver, 7 pounds, 11 ounces, born at 7:10 a.m. on November 30th. What a cute little guy. And, right now I'm in the middle of being an entrepreneur, and he wasn't a surprise. I mean, I knew when I quit my job, he was coming in 2 months, but, you know, right now I'm spending more time helping out with the family, helping Zoe out so she can sleep more, and just being there for my non-negotiables, my family. And that's taking away time from the business, and that's okay because I know that I'm being really intentional when I am working on my business. And yeah, just accepting that, because if you don't accept that, then when you're spending time with your kids, you kind of just feel like, oh, I should be working. And then when you're working, you're like, man, I should be spending time with my kids. So you're never really in the moment. And so understanding that right now I'm going to be spending more time with my family and my kids, and that's great. That's awesome. I'm doing the things I need to do in my business, and when in a couple months I might have to work way more in my business. I might have to be out of state for a little bit. Like, who knows? Like, just not giving up any of it fully, but fully focusing on the things that matter to you most. That was huge for me. So thank you, Stephen Covey. Rest in peace. He's the author of 7 Habits. Really appreciate that insight that you gave me that really came to mind when Oliver was born. So, when I left my job, October 10th, or was it 11th? October 10th or 11th, whatever that Friday was. Another thing was I only had like 2.5 weeks until we went to Boston for 10 days. David, he lives in Michigan, and Voight lives in Arizona. We don't get a lot of time to all work together. So we flew in early. We worked in Boston 2 days before the Owners Club retreat, and then we stayed in Boston for 2 days after it to work together. And then we took a train up to New York City and went to the meetup in Central Park, which was phenomenal. So that was kind of like, we're getting the wheels moving after I leave my job of me working full time, and then boom, routine is completely shot. Go there for 10 days, come back, get another couple weeks. David comes to town and we're hanging out with his family, and then Oliver's born. And so, yeah, just kind of adjusting to, I don't really have a routine, and that's okay. Doing my best. I am starting to get into more of a routine, but just understanding that, it's all, you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible and not use that as an excuse to not get a lot of stuff done. But it also kind of highlights the importance of having a routine, because when you have a routine and you're not focused so hard on planning everything because you're kind of used to what your schedule looks like, you do get more done. There's no doubt about that. So I'm looking forward to, life being a little more predictable going forward, but we'll see what happens. I mean, overall, leaving my job has been thrilling. It's been fun. It's been scary. I mean, we've made, honestly, good money since I quit, but still at the same time, like, I don't know if we're going to get deals next month or 2 months from now or 3 months from now. All I know is that we have a plan. We're executing on the plan. We trust each other. And if we fail, it's not going to be for a lack of trying. That's for sure. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, leave comments in the chat or reach out to me at Jared Morrison REI on Instagram. I'm trying to do an update probably like every month, every 2 months, just to let you know how I'm doing on the journey. So far, again, it's been great. I have no regrets. but it has been challenging. There's no doubt about that. If you have questions about whether you should leave your W-2 or just want to pick my brain, hit me up. Definitely happy to talk about it. Thanks. Have a good night.